pile, concrete pile. Composite pile means a combination of these two, combination of any two, like steel and concrete. But generally, we are not using composite pile because it is very difficult to provide joint between these two different type of piles. Then another was mode of transfer of load. When I'm saying mode of transfer of load, basically it was end bearing, skin friction, and combined action of end bearing and skin friction. Method of installation. Method of installation means either it can be driven pile, board pile, or border cast in situ pile, and like jack piles and screw piles. These piles are basically comes under the method of installation. Then function or action. So today we'll discuss about the function and action. So when I'm saying function or action, basically these piles are classified like load bearing piles. As the name from the name itself, we can easily judge such piles to bear the load and like used to transfer the load of the structure to a suitable stratum by end bearing, by friction, or by both. Right. So when I'm saying load bearing piles, so they are basically transferring the load to the underlying soil by the end bearing, friction, or the combined action of by both. Another is tension or uplift pile. So when I'm saying tension piles or uplift pile, basically these piles are resisting the load by the tension. That is, most of the time our structure is subjected to uplift forces. So whenever our structure is subjected to uplift forces, in that case we'll be using tension or uplift piles. So third type of pile is compaction pile. So compaction piles are generally used to compact the soil, right? So most of the time it happens that the ground is not densified. So in that case, we have to insert pile deep into the ground to compact the soil. So such piles are known as compaction pile. In case of compaction pile, generally we have the pile tubes, and these pile tubes are basically installed deep into the ground by the hammer, and they are used for compacting the soil mass. Another is anchor pile. These piles are basically used to provide anchorage. Uh, Anchorage, when I am saying anchorage, basically near seashore, you have seen like ships that are used for carrying goods. They are basically anchored to one portion of the anchored to one part, anchored to one portion. So that's the piles that are used to anchor these structures are known as anchor pile. So used to provide anchorage against horizontal pull from water or sheet piling. In sheet piles also you have seen a dead man or a dead concrete block is basically attached with the sheet pile using some piles known as anchor piles. Another is your fender piles. They are basically used to protect the waterfront structures against impact from ships and other floating objects, right? So fender piles are basically used to prevent the ships and other floating objects from the sorry, waterfront structures to prevent from ships and floating objects. Now, sheet piles are also classified under the category of piles, and these are basically used as bulkheads or cutoffs to reduce seepage and uplift in hydraulic structures. Right. So I hope you all are familiar with the sheet piles. Sheet piles are basically used to separate the two medium. When I'm saying separate the two medium, one medium can be water or another medium can be soil. Batter piles. Batter piles are basically used to resist horizontal and inclined forces, especially in waterfront structures. Right. So when I'm saying batter piles are basically used to resist the horizontal loads and inclined loads only, or inclined forces only. Right. For the vertical loads, we'll be having the normal piles that we are using. So you can see each pile. Hello, hello.
स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रही थी सर, पहले अब दिख लो।
इसकी स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रही है आपको?
दिख रही है
सर अब दिख रही है सर, पहले नहीं दिख रही थी, अब दिख रही है सर।
Okay, no problem. So you can see these piles. Basically, you can see this is like a dam, and below dam you can see a pile that is laid at some inclination. So such piles are known as better piles. Why this pile is known as better pile? Because you can easily see behind the retaining wall, or I'll not call this as a dam. I'll call this as a retaining wall, right? Because this retaining wall is retaining the soil. So behind the retaining wall, you can see the horizontal force is coming onto onto the retaining wall, and the pile that is installed at some inclination beneath this retaining wall. You can see such piles are known as better pile because these piles are resisting the horizontal load. Another combination you can see, like a slab is there and below slab you can see the piles are installed, or we can see or we can say that this is a pile group where pile cap is at the top and we have the subsequent piles arranged in the square or a rectangular fashion. So you can see the pile, one pile is basically under the action of tension, another is under the compression, right? So why is it like the tension? Because there is a moment that is coming onto the left part. That's why this slab or the pile cap is moving in upward or rotated in upward direction. Thereby, the lower part of the pile that is resisting this pile cap is basically moving downward or resisting in the downward direction. Another part you can see, like an anchor pile, also you can see a figure, diagrammatic figure for the anchor pile, where the bulkhead is located, and this bulkhead is basically attached with the sheet pile and with the use of anchor. Such piles are known as anchor pile. Now another classification is based on the displacement of soil, right? So it is quite obvious when we are installing pile into the pile deep into the ground, there will be the displacement of soil mass, right? So accordingly, we'll be having piles such as displacement pile and non-displacement pile. So we can easily imagine like a displacement pile to be like a driven pile, the pile that is installed into the ground with a hammer, right? So okay, sorry for the interruption. Actually, Rohan called me. Are you all able to hear my voice? Are you all able to hear
Yes,
my
sir.
voice? Okay, all are able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thanks for the confirmation. Wait. Actually, Rohan called me to ask whether class is going on or not. He was not there in the class, I think. No problem. Let me quickly go through that part. I hope you all are understanding easily whatever I am telling you. Any doubts so far? Please let me know. Okay, so I was discussing about the classification based on displacement of soil. So if we are installing pile deep into the ground and the soil is displaced, we'll call such pile as a displacement pile. And while the or during the installation of pile, if soil mass is not displaced, we'll call such pile as a non-displacement pile, right? So it is also written in this particular PDF, if during the installation a large volume of soil is displaced laterally or upward, is called a displacement pile, right? So where we will find the displacement to happen, right? So in loose sand, such a pile densified the sand up to a distance of 3.5 times the diameter of pile measured from the center of pile. The compaction leads to the increase in shearing resistance within the zone of influence, right? So you can easily see from this figure, this zone of influence is reaching up to the 3.5 times the diameter of pile, right? So once you install pile into the loose sand deposit, so this loose sand deposit will get compacted up to a distance of 3.5 times the depth. That is what we are calling it as a zone of influence, right? So this is the compacted zone, right? Now in case of clays, large displacement piles removes the soil to a distance of 2 times the diameter of pile, right? So why we are calling this as a compaction pile? Because once you are installing pile into the loose sand, your loose sand will get compacted, and thereby there is a densification in the soil mass. Another case is of clays, right? So once you install pile or a large displacement pile is going into the clay, there will be molding of the soil mass, right? So this is what we call remolding of the soil, and in this case the zone of influence will be twice the diameter of pile. So please remember this point, like for loose sand it is 3.5 times the diameter of pile shaft, for clays it is twice the diameter of shaft. Now during the pile driving, high pore water pressure are set up around the pile, Soil regains its strength only after a period of time when excess pore water pressure has dissipated. This also I have explained you in my soil mechanics class, where I was telling you about once you are giving, compaction to the clay soil mass, there is a, dissipation of the pore water pressure and the soil gets remolded. That is why we don't have the proper shear strength in the clay soil mass once it is compacted or once it is, once it is hammered. Now, once the entire pore water pressure get dissipated, then the soil will regain its strength after a period of time, and then only we'll have the proper shear strength in the clay soil mass. Now, driven piles are preferred in loose to medium sand and are less preferred in case of clays and dense sand. Class, please note this point as means for the gate or engineering services point of view that whenever you are, using this driven piles, so you have to use these driven piles only for loose to medium sand, right? And very less preferred in this clays and dense sand. So there are several examples for the large displacement pile. First one is your driven cast in situ pile. When I'm saying driven cast in situ pile, I'll be telling you about in my subsequent lectures what we mean by this driven cast in situ. Then driven pre-stressed pile, steel piles and timber pile. Steel and timber pile, you are already familiar with these types of pile, right? And driven pre-stressed pile means pre-stressing concept also you have learned in your RCC, right? So we are giving some additional load to the pile so that it can bear the load, whatever the additional increment of load that will come onto the pile. And when I'm saying driven pre-stressed pile, these piles are basically casted in site and they are transported at site and then they are, they are used for the installation purpose. Like hammer will be, means hammer will be put it onto the top of the pile and it get into the soil mass. Now, rolled steel section piles, screw piles, and open-ended hollow section piles are example of small displacement pile. So, whatever we have learned so far for in case of driven pile, basically these piles are high displacement piles or heavy displacement piles. But we have the small displacement piles also, where the we have the hollow cross section so that it may not impacting the soil that much. Like a rolled steel section, screw piles, and open-ended hollow cross sections are there, by which you are hammering the section and it will not vibrate or it will not disturb the soil that much. That's why we are calling such piles as small displacement piles, right? And these small displacement piles are basically used when ground displacement and ground disturbances are to be minimized. So where we'll be using these small displacement pile, anybody can tell? Is non-displacement pile, and from the name itself we can easily judge such kind of piles that it will not displace the soil mass during installation. So no displacement of soil during installation. In such pile, voids are formed in the soil by boring or excavation, and then these voids are filled with concrete, right? So non-displacement pile, how will make this non-displacement pile? We'll make an excavation, or we'll create, means we'll simply dug out a hole from the ground mass, and later we'll fill it with the concrete. So such type of pile that is formed inside the excavated region, such piles are known as non-displacement pile because that pile will basically not disturb the ground mass as a whole. So sides of the void can be supported either permanently by casing or temporarily by using bentonite slurry, right? So in this case, once we are doing the excavation inside the ground mass, most of the time it happens the soil from the outside, basically it fall into the excavated region. So in order to stabilize the soil mass, what we have to do, we have to simply spray the bentonite slurry uh, in the hole, right? The corners of the hole, so that the voids that are filled, so that the voids get filled with the bentonite and the hole will be stable. Now, non-displacement piles can further be classified as board cast in situ and board precast, right? So from the name itself, we can easily judge such kind of piles. When I'm saying board cast in situ, so cast in situ means the piles will be constructed or casted at the yard and then transported to the site and then it is placed in the excavated region. So that is board cast in situ means first you have to bore the hole, and then bring the already prepared pile, and then it has to be installed into the ground. Board precast is also similar kind of pile. So this is board precast means transported to the site and then board into the means then it is installed into the ground. Board cast in situ means you have to excavate and then later you have to fill it with the concrete. That is cast in situ only. There only you have to construct. There is no heaving of ground, no noise, and no vibration in this case. So it is quite obvious that you won't have any heave or you don't have any noise or no vibrations. Length of these piles can be easily varied at site, and very long and large diameter pile can be installed. Right? So in this case, you can easily vary the length of piles, and very long and large diameter pile can be installed in this case. See, this is also very obvious that in this case we can easily alter the dimension of pile because we are simply casting the pile at site only. We are excavating the hole and then we are filling it with the concrete. So up to any depth we can dug a hole and then we can pour a concrete and we can create such kind of piles. Now in this case, we have an example of under-reamed pile. That is the example of board cast in situ pile. And in this case, we have a shaft. If the shaft diameter is D, so these bulb diameter will be 3 times the shaft diameter. Now, construction process enable inspection of the excavation soil and comparison with the soil exploration data, right? So during the construction process, what you can do, you can inspect the hole also, you can inspect the layer by layer, and you can compare it with the soil exploration data that is already there with you. Now during the installation of pile, soil on the side of borehole softens due to the contact with water during boring or concreting, results in the loss of shear strength, right? So for which we are using bentonite slurry to stabilize the hole. Now there is difficulty in concreting underwater. This is also quite obvious. Once you make a hole, then you have to use some water to to remove the slurry that is already there inside the hole. So this results in the moistening of the side of the borehole, and the shear strength get loosed. So in order to rectify the shear strength, we are using the bentonite slurry for the side of borehole. Pile should be casted or installed immediately after boring. Right. So once you have bored the ground mass, so once the entire soil mass is removed from the bore, immediately after this, you have to install the pile or you have to construct the pile. Now, driven concrete piles are generally of diameter up to 500 mm, but board piles may be even 2 to 3 meter. Driven concrete piles, when I'm saying driven concrete piles, you can use these driven concrete piles generally up to the diameter of 500 mm, but board piles can be, since we are simply constructing these piles by increasing the diameter of the hole.